Hello there. Welcome to my show, COVID-19 update by Heerak for September 14, 2020. Do you like my Georgetown University School of Nursing and Health Studies face mask? Yeah. You see the emblem there? Um, yeah. Today is the exaltation of the cross day. Um, Over 300 million Americans are Christians. Exaltation of the cross is very important in America. Um, so today is the day that celebrates it. Um, yeah, you know, countries run on religious calendar. That's that's true for America being Christian country and Israel being a Jewish nation. So countries run on a religious calendar generally, and it's been that way since beginning of time. So there's no surprise there. Georgetown University, as you know, is a Catholic university. So exaltation of the cross is very important at Georgetown. One of the reasons I went to Georgetown is because it is a Christian university that holds officially to the Christian values. So I like Georgetown University. As a Catholic university that holds to the Vatican position, Georgetown University is officially against homosexuality and gay marriage, as it should be, because Romans chapter 1 condemns homosexuality. Um, and Georgetown University is officially against abortion. So it's a good thing, you know. Georgetown University is great. I like Georgetown University and School of Nursing and Health Studies holds to Jesuit value of cura personalis, treating the whole person. And that's, I like that philosophy. We deal with the spiritual side of the patient. We deal with physical, emotional, mental, multicultural. You know, we deal with all aspects of the human being. And that's what Georgetown University emphasized. That's really great. Um, yeah, so I had used these photos before. These photos are from fall 2019. No one thought we would have COVID-19 at that time, right? So the photo below me is Caitlin from West Virginia, and I met her at Kappa Delta Pi national convocation in Norfolk, Virginia, in October 2019. It's an annual convocation. And Kappa Delta Pi is a national honor society in education. So I'm very excited, to have met her. She's really nice. She was a final year in Bachelor's of Education program, studying to be a teacher. It's too bad that her first year of teaching is in the COVID-19 year, which is really sad. But yeah, she's really nice person. I was hoping to like see her again, but with COVID-19, things are kind of hectic and difficult, right? Nationally. Yeah, who knows? Maybe one day. I encourage you to come and teach at, our Arlington County Public Schools or Alexandria City Public Schools or Fairfax City Public Schools or Fairfax County Public Schools or Falls Church City Public Schools. So maybe, she'll end up coming here to teach. But yeah, Caitlin's great. She's a really nice person. Um, at the conference, I also met, um, you know, um, Alex, and she's from Fairfax County. She's, I guess, second year now. This year she's third year. I guess she's third year now. Bachelor's of Education program at Virginia Commonwealth University. Yeah. So yeah. So yeah. So it's local yoko. um, and then next to that is a friend from an educator from DC teaching in private schools. And next to that are three bachelors of education graduates from University of Texas in Austin. And I'm standing next to Beatrice new one. She's really nice. Glad I met her there. So basically, Caitlin and Alex, I um, I met at Kappa de Tapai, Canva, and then Beatrice and the DC educator, private school educator. I guess it's like in DC or Maryland. I met at National Council of Teachers English meeting, which was in November. And yeah, so I'm a member of the Standing Committee on Global Citizenship for National Council of Teachers English. So we have a committee meeting again this November, and we're supposed to have a conference in Denver, Colorado. Confluenza, but because of COVID-19, it's 100% online. But yeah, our chair of the committee sent that email for meeting. So we're meeting virtually, but it's a 3-year term, and we think about global citizenship. And yeah, I was kind of bummed because I was looking forward to seeing Beatrice again in Denver, Colorado. But yeah, so I guess gotta communicate online until COVID-19 dies down. Yeah, so the last 24 hours, we had 448 deaths in America. So as I've said, COVID-19 third spike starts in September and will go to December. So right now, we're kind of at the lower hill of the third peak. So we have the second peak was June to August. So the numbers are going to be a little bit low, and then it's going to climb up again, and the third peak's going to kill far more than the second peak. During second peak, we had like 1,000 die per day during August. But third peak, we're going to have a lot of people die, yeah, so that's going to be, a scary thing when that starts picking up. Flu season starts like in October, sometimes in, end of September, but October, around that time. So, things can get really bad really quickly, meaning like we have like, you know, you could jump to like 300,000 cases per day suddenly, when flu season hits. So that's something that should not surprise you if that happens. Um, yeah, that's like Moroccan Jewish. Yeah, they have a skill for one of the great things about in Israel is, there are 100 different countries represented among Jews who live in Israel. And you hear all these different cultures and you get to appreciate the historical backgrounds, cultural backgrounds of every Jewish ethnic group who immigrated to Israel. And you're listening to Israeli music, but, representing different Jewish groups, ethnically Jewish, like they're Jews, but they're Jews from like Argentina, they're Jews from Chile, they're Jews from like Morocco, Yemen. They're Jews from like Syria. They're Jews from Germany, France, Italy. They're Jews from like India. They're Jews from all over the place, like Russia, Poland. Bulgaria. Um, yeah, so there's diversity in Jewish music. Um, yeah, but yeah, so there's like 194,489 cases or deaths. So we're headed there. Heerak Christian came independent candidate for U.S. Congress of Virginia State District. And I'm predicting that there will be a minimum 3 million deaths in the flu season. So flu season goes from like September, end of September, October, all the way to like April. Some say maybe even as late as May. So it's like 6 months long. So if 60,000 people die per state, there are 50 states, so it equals 3 million cases, um, or cases of death. So 60,000 deaths per state equals 3 million deaths in the United States of America. And that's not that hard to conceptualize. 60,000 people dying over a 6-month period, that's 10,000 average per month during flu season. It's easily doable. And You know, like because we know New York had 30,000 deaths in like April, a little over a month. And that's like a tail end of the flu season, not the height of the flu season, not the most intense part of flu season. So more people will die in the intense part of flu season. So so you have to kind of think about it, in a logical, scientific sense. If New York had 30,000 people die in 1 month, a little over 1 month, at the tail end of flu season, you can imagine how many people would die at the height of flu season. So it's not just New York that's going to go through it this year. It's going to be all 50 states. So what New York experienced is something that every city will experience for 6 months of the flu season, not just 1 month. So if New York had an average of 30,000 dying per month over 60,000 6 month period, that's like over 180,000. I'm predicting that actually 1 million plus will die in New York State alone because there's a lot of people in New York. And once it starts spreading and the hospitals are compromised, a lot of people are going to die. But every major city can easily have 30,000 to 60,000 die during the flu season. So let's say in Pennsylvania, you have Pittsburgh and Philadelphia are major cities. So you could have 30,000 dying in Philly, 30,000 dying in Pittsburgh over a 6 month period of the flu season. Easily they could have that. Then you have 60,000 dying, right? And obviously people are going to be dying in like Harrisburg and Lancaster, other places as well. So you can imagine 3 million is probably the bottom limit of the deaths. We'll probably have far more than 3 million in the United States die in flu season. Just think about it, 30,000 from Philadelphia, 30,000 from Pittsburgh, that's 60,000 in two cities in Pennsylvania. And there are going to be people dying in the suburbs, there are going to be people dying in small cities and small towns. So you could easily see Pennsylvania could have over 100,000, 200,000. So you can see like when you think of it that way with every state in America, you could have like 20 million die. So minimum I'm saying 3 million will die, but I'm looking more like at 20, 25 million die. There's about 20% of world's death is in America, 20 to 25%. So if 100 million people die around the world, then about 20 million will be in America. So that's definitely possible. Um, yeah, I mean, we have 6,553,303 cases now, but it's like mostly summertime, right? Because we had like mostly COVID-19 in New York and New Jersey. It wasn't really spreading that much during the first week, March to May. It starts spreading more in summer. But summer, the deaths are supposed to be like zero. Like China had zero deaths in 4 months. Uh, we had 1,000 deaths per day, in August. So it was serious for us. It's not just us though. India had 1,000 deaths per day. Brazil had 1,000 deaths per day. So there's several countries that experienced that. But in the flu season, it's going to be far worse. We may have 10,000 die per day, 20,000 die per day. You shouldn't be shocked by that. In April, we had like 6,000 die per day. I think that was the highest figure. So that could happen easily. And the numbers are mostly in New York. So think about it. We have a lot of major cities where a lot of people can die. So yeah, I say minimum 3 million will die this winter, flu season. Flu season includes fall, winter, and spring, but part of fall, full winter, part of spring. Um, yeah, so yeah, we could easily have 3 million die. We'll probably have more like 20 million die. So that's something to be expected. From a scientific angle, I don't think there's a health expert out there who will deny that that's possible, because that is definitely possible. I'm sure all of the teachers that you see in front of you, they all would agree that's possible. Most of them are like elementary school teachers, like me. Before I went to Georgetown University for clinical nurse leader program, which is a master's degree at Georgetown University, I taught full time at Sabo Elementary School in Anacostia neighborhood of Washington, D.C., which is Ward A. And my school is 100% African American. So, yeah, so, and like the teachers in front of you, they teach elementary school, most of them. And so, we had a lot to talk about, which was good. But they were actually like graduating class. Caitlin from West Virginia and Beatrice from University of Texas, Austin. They're kind of like seniors graduating. So they didn't really do like independent teaching. They did student teaching. And obviously, Alex is she's going to be a junior, I guess, at Virginia Commonwealth University. She went to like high school, I think in Vienna or Oakton. And then and the lady next to Caitlin's group, she may teach actually middle school, in a private middle school, like a private Catholic school. But anyway, yeah, she's really nice. Um, yeah, so I'm looking at top 5 cases in Asia, and India is 4,846,427 cases. And they start having 1,000 people die per day for a long time. And so their death rate just jumped up. Their death rate was less than 1,000 like in April. So it's kind of shocking how quickly people start dying in large numbers in India. So that just took everybody by surprise. But it's not letting up. 1,000 or more are dying in India right now. So if you have a relative in India, like if you're from India, and there are a lot of Americans whose relatives are from India, you're probably going to have your relatives die in India because death is going to continue and it'll probably pick up. So we're expecting millions of deaths in India. I think most healthcare experts would be surprised if many millions die in India. It's a country with 1 billion people. And as you know, COVID-19 is not going away. I mean, most healthcare experts say it's forever. And if we have a working vaccine, that will improve the situation. But it's also possible that none of the vaccines will actually work 100%. If you see like Face the Nation, um, there was a CEO of Pfizer, and he was talking about the vaccine trials, and he said he doesn't know if it's going to work. He said we'll see. By end of October, we'll see if it works. So even now, most pharmaceutical companies, they are testing, but nobody's 100% sure it's going to work. And I'm here at Christian Kim, independent candidate for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 8th district, and I'm predicting that none of the vaccines will work. COVID-19 is very complex. There are over 40 strains. There's no way you're going to be able to tackle all 40 strains right now because all 40 strains haven't been identified yet. How are you going to tackle 40 different strains when you don't even know what they are? You haven't even identified them. So the fact that people are talking about this vaccine working, I don't believe it. Because first, identify every single strain of COVID-19 that currently exists in 2020 before you start talking about a vaccine. Because even if you develop a vaccine that blocks one strain, there's like over 39 strains that can get through. So what good is that vaccine? You see what I'm saying? Um, yeah, so I don't see any of the vaccines working. Certainly not in 2020. I doubt they'll work in 2021. HIV virus, nobody developed a vaccine for that. They've been trying for decades. Hepatitis C vaccine, nobody developed that either. Uh, Herpes virus, no vaccine for that. So, there are these viruses where there's no vaccine. Um, yeah, so I'm thinking that this is probably going to be like that. Let's see, hopefully I'm wrong, and there will be a vaccine that works, but I don't think so. Yeah. So, yeah, India has like almost 80,000 deaths. It's going to easily go to 100,000 deaths to surpass it. Bangladesh is number 2, but look at the difference. Like Bangladesh is number 2, but look at the number of cases is far smaller than India. right? So that's significant, meaning there's something going on in India, there's a problem. That problem doesn't exist as as much in any other country in Asia, including their immediate neighbors. Bangladesh only has 339,332 cases and 4,759 deaths, 1% death. Look how smaller number two is from number one. So it's lopsided, right? It's not like Latin America. We saw the figures from yesterday. You know, there's some proximity, right? But in Asia, India is the only country where there's massive death, and other Asian countries there really isn't that much death. I mean, that's significant, you know. Um, so there's something strange going on in India. Um, Pakistan is number three. It only has 302,020 cases. Death rate is 6,383. Death rate is 2%. So why is it not spreading as quickly as in India, right? Isn't that kind of strange? Yeah, I'm just pointing out what's obvious. Philippines has 265,888 cases, 2% death rate, and the death is currently at 4,630. And Indonesia, the cases are at 221,523, and the deaths are at 8,841, 4%. Um, but remember, if the flu season is going to be shocking, we don't know how many deaths we're going to have. Heerak, independent candidate for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 8th district. I'm predicting that there will be 100 million people dying in the world, and around 3 million to 20 million die in America. Let's see if I'm correct. I mean, I think I'm correct because flu season is when a lot of people die. During the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918, second season, flu season, that's when most people died. And the population was very small in 1918 compared to now. And, around 50 million people died in the second flu season. Um, so now the population is much bigger. Countries, cities are much denser. So I think we'll easily have 100 million people die. So that's, it's a concern. Let's see, we haven't officially entered the flu season yet. That's like towards the end of September, beginning of October. So let's see what happens, right? Um, yeah, yeah, I thought, maybe we'll look at some articles because there's some significant issues that are developing that can have an impact on how many people will die in America during the flu season. So the title for today is Where Does USA Fit into the Global Pandemic, right? We know that around 20% of all death from COVID-19 in the world is in America. So if there's 100 million deaths in the world, we can logically expect 20 million to be in America. Um, if there is 50 million deaths in the world, then we can logically expect around 10 million in America. So that's something that we're looking at. Um, yeah, it's going to be tragic this year. You have to brace yourself. Don't think that people are not going to die. Because if you think that, you're fooling yourself. This is a global pandemic. Scientifically, global pandemics been studied for a long time, centuries. And they're predictable, meaning they're going to kill a lot of people. And there's a lot of research on it. So there's no scientist who will say it's impossible for millions of people to die. Nobody's going to say that. Yeah, first article that is a little concerning is in Axios, written by Orion Rumler, um, entitled Top HHS Spokesperson Accuses Government Scientists of Sedition Against Trump. The language is a problem, right? The scientists are just trying to do their job, and they're being accused of being traitors. Basically, sedition is like being traitor, right? That's a serious problem because You need scientists to survive COVID-19. More importantly, you need scientists to like tell the truth. You know, if they lie to you, then what are you gonna do? How are you gonna survive? Do you see what I'm saying? You need the truth to survive. So you cannot have people like lying to you because you're gonna have a higher chance of dying. So when you have Department of Health and Human Services spokesperson accusing scientists of being traitors to government, basically, the sedition is like what? It's like calling you a traitor, right? It's a serious problem. The scientists are doing their research. You gotta let them do their research and present it. Obviously, you could debate it. Different scientists may not all agree, but let them present their research and you debate it. So this is a problem that there are the spokesmen who are accusing scientists of like being traitors. Um, it's a problem because we need all the scientists to say what they honestly think. And then, we could, after hearing their arguments and evidence, we could reject or accept what they're saying, right? But we need to let them do their job because it's about you surviving. It's about everyone in America surviving. And we have 1,000 deaths per day right now. And we may have 10,000 to 30,000 deaths per day in the height of the flu season. That can happen. We had like 6,000 people die in April per day. Um, that could happen again easily. And we're talking about just like mostly New York. Now you think about every major city in America: Miami, Dallas, Houston, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, Detroit. Think about adding all the cities. St. Louis, Missouri, Mobile, Alabama. Can you imagine how many people are going to die? I mean, we could easily have 30,000 per day because we had like 6,000 just basically with New York. You know, um, yeah. So that's coming. That's coming in the flu season. You know, uh, yeah. So the article in Axios says Health and Human Services spokesperson Michael Caputo basically accused career scientists at Center for Disease Control and Prevention on Sunday of gathering a resistance unit for sedition against President Trump. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it sounds like, somebody's getting paranoid, right? Because we're not talking about politicians here. We're not talking about, I mean, at certain point, you gotta say, yeah, the likelihood is very low. You know what I'm saying? Um, so the question is, are they like setting up a straw man? Why are they getting so paranoid? You see what I'm saying? What do they have to hide? So these are questions that are being raised, but it's a concern because we need the scientists to say what they need to say. And then we can accept their evidence, reject their evidence. We need to see it though. We need to let them speak the truth, let them say what they think is true, and they could accept it or reject it. But we need to give them room to do their stuff. So that's of a big concern. I'm not saying that President Trump ordered Michael Caputo to say these things, but you know, um, I mean, would he have said this thing without letting President Trump know? You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure. They could be in cahoots. Obviously, he might have gotten a nod from President Trump. That's a possibility. But this is a serious problem when you start talking about conspiracy of scientists. I mean, I'm not saying that's impossible. It is possible to have scientists have conspiracy. Uh, Anybody can form a conspiracy, but the likelihood of that is very low. You see what I'm saying? Um, Nice. Some of these Israeli songs are nice. You know, um, yeah, that kind of leads us to the second story. And this is why I'm playing Israeli songs. I've known like Nataniyahu for a long time. He comes from Cheltenham, Pennsylvania, and my parents lived in Cheltenham for a while. 7817 Gale Road, Taunton, Pennsylvania. So we, when I was in elementary, middle school, high school, we lived in Logan neighborhood and Albany neighborhood in inner city Philly. But after I went to college, the church became like richer and richer, and they moved him to a house in Cheltenham. So when we first arrived in America, most of our church members were very poor. Um, like for example, Daniel Yun Jushik's father, he basically um, did oil change in the parking lot. I don't even know if it's legal. But what he did is he did oil change for other Koreans, and he changed tires and brakes for other Koreans. And when he had time, he went to like this technical school to learn how to do auto mechanic to get licensed. So while he was, kind of doing that, he was just changing tires and changing oil in the parking lot in the street. I don't know if it's legal, but they did that. And I see like Hispanic Americans in, doing that too. So I guess immigration life is similar. So I was just thinking about Daniel Yun when I saw like some Latinos, like changing other Latinos, tires or brakes and getting money for it, like in parking lots. I don't even know that's legal, but Daniel Yun's father did that. So like when my father first arrived as a senior pastor at the church, a lot of the church members were very poor. They lived in a very poor neighborhoods, and they're trying to settle down as immigrants. And that's what Daniel Yun's father did. They lived in a very dangerous neighborhood, and but he that's what he did. He changed tires and stuff like that for other Koreans. He can't really speak English. He speaks Korean, so so then there are Koreans around, and they felt comfortable with him because he's Korean. So they wouldn't go to like Pep Boys or even the auto dealer. A lot of the Koreans, when they first became immigrants, they bought like cars that were like 10, 20 years old, with like over 150,000 miles. So they weren't going to go to a dealer to get that fixed. So, they went to Daniel Yun's father, or there are other Koreans in different neighborhoods who did the same kind of thing. And then Daniel Yun's father worked like that for like 10 years. Eventually, he saved up enough to open up his own Yun's Auto in a pretty rough neighborhood. But, eventually he was good at it, and then he opened up another one, and he started making a lot of money. So he moved into a nice suburban house. His hands were always like black, it's like grease monkey hands. He became a deacon at our church. He was a Buddhist when he came to America. He converted to Christianity, brought his whole family to my dad's church, and then he became a deacon, and then he became an elder. And by the time my father moved into, a suburban home in Cheltenham, because the church kind of moved him there. Uh, Daniel Yun's father, Yun's Auto, was raking in a lot of money per year. Like they were just rolling in the dough. So that's like, it's like after like 10, 20, 10, 15 years. So a lot of the church members, they originally started out really poor. Took them 10 to 15 years to kind of settle down and become middle class. You know, obviously, Daniel Yun's father did not have any vacation for 15, 20 years. I mean, he worked like 365 days a year minus the Sundays when he went to church. He took a day of rest on Sunday. But except for the 52 Sundays, he worked every day. He didn't take a single vacation for like 20 years. That's how immigrants live, Korean immigrants. I mean, and I think it's like that with other immigrants as well. I'm sure Latino immigrants, many of them don't take vacations because you can't take a vacation when, you have a dry cleaner or you have an auto shop, right? And that's your auto shop, you need to be there. So it makes a lot of sense. So I could understand and identify with the Latinos in Arlington and the struggles that they have as immigrants because, I went through it. My church members went through it. So it's, the same. But yeah, so, and a lot of Jews who immigrated to America, there are waves of Jewish immigration. The big wave, first wave of Jewish immigration was after Russian pogroms in 1890s. In 1910, there are two different waves of pogroms in Russia. And then the next big wave of immigration was after the Holocaust, or during the Holocaust. And so those are the two big Jewish immigration and immigration experiences share similar things, obviously. And Irish immigration came in 1880s through the potato famines. Italian immigration, I think, might have been at the same time, but there was also earlier wave. Um, yeah, and then you had the Chinese coolie workers coming in the 1800s, late 1800s to California. So you have like a lot of immigration history in the U.S. Um, but it's a country of immigrants. Arlington has over 100 different nations represented. And that's why like my neighbors like me a lot, because they see me and they can identify with me. I look Hispanic, I look Latino. I look far more Latino than Tom Bayer, who's a Democrat congressman in Virginia's 8th district. So Latinos in Arlington's 8th district like me a lot because I look like them. And they know that I understand their immigration experience. So they like me. Yeah, but when we look at Israel, Israel is a nation of immigrants as well. Like Jews from like over 100 different countries immigrated to Israel. It's a nation made up of immigrants, Jewish immigrants from all different countries in the world. And Netanyahu, he's been a prime minister for a long time. And, I spent a lot of time in Israel. So, actually Netanyahu is like a regular face for me. Like every time I go to Israel, his Netanyahu was there. I lived over 3 years in Israel. He was there all 3 years, basically, in politics. It's like an establishment. It's like Putin, He's like always been there. But he's from Cheltenham in Pennsylvania. I think he went to Cheltenham High School. So it's kind of funny, he was very good. It's hard to detect an accent. A lot of Americans speak with an accent. He's very good with his Hebrew. Um, but Israel is imposing a second nationwide lockdown amid coronavirus surge. So Israel is the first nation in the world to impose a nationwide lockdown in the third peak. Third peak is September to December. And I think Israel's doing the smart thing because I think there's a danger the Middle East could become like Latin America. Israel almost had no deaths, and then suddenly it had started having deaths go up. Now it's over 1,000. And it could get to a point where you have like 1,000 die per day, even, It's a small country. People live in a very crowded space. There are a lot of apartments in Jerusalem. There are a lot of apartments in Tel Aviv. There's a lot of apartments in Holon. There's a lot of apartments in Bat Yam. There's a lot of apartments everywhere in Haifa. A lot of Israelis live in apartments, which means a lot of Israelis can die. So it's possible you could have like 1,000 Israelis die per day. So it's a big concern for Israel. So I think Prime Minister Netanyahu is doing the right thing. So the country will close all the schools, all the dining in restaurants, all the malls, all the hotels, and all the entertainment venues for at least 3 weeks, starting Friday. But as you know, flu season is going to start end of September, beginning of October. By that time, you're going to have a lot of death around the world, especially in America. So there's going to be a spike. So by that time, probably Israel will just extend their lockdown. That's what I'm predicting. So the Jewish holiday, Rosh-Ha-Shanah, New Year starts on Friday. So Hag Sameach, yeah, just wishing you happy Rosh-Ha-Shanah. It's a happy New Year, but it's, I think he's doing it the right thing because you can have a lot of people get together over New Year's and eat and share food, talk to each other, get COVID and die. That could be a national tragedy. So Netanyahu, I would argue, made the right choice. Um, I wish like Governor Abbott in Texas, Governor DeSantis in Florida, Governor Gavin Newsom in California would shut the state down, try to bring the cases to zero. You gotta flatten the curve. None of these governors are flattening the curve, so it's a serious problem going into flu season. If you do not flatten the curve, you have a residue number of people from which you're gonna have big spikes throughout the state. So, we saw like 10,000 people get COVID in Florida, Texas, and California in the summer. Now it's everywhere. During the flu season, it's possible for them to have like 20, 30, 40, 50,000 cases per day. And that's all possible during the flu season because cases are there. It's still spreading. Um, and, Governor Newsom of California talked about how 60% of his California residents could get COVID. Definitely that's possible in the flu season. I mean, 60% of America can get COVID. That's 220 million Americans can get COVID during the flu season. That's a possibility. Um, yeah, I mean, hopefully it doesn't happen, but it can happen. And if you have 200 million Americans get COVID and death rate is at 2%, you're gonna have 4 million die. Currently, it's at death rate is at 3%, so you'll have like 6 million people die if you get 200,000 cases. But obviously, death rate will spike up during the flu season. Like New York's death rate was like over 10% of the cases. So you may see that in every city in the flu season. It's different from summer when death rate is like 2%. So we're looking at a horrific flu season right now. I don't think you should be surprised if we have more than 3 million people die, even midway through the flu season. By that time, you'd be like, oh man, we should have listened to Heerak, independent candidate for U.S. Congress of Virginia's 8th District. Yeah, you should definitely listen because, I'm using my expertise in science, expertise in nursing, expertise in, as you know, I'm a licensed science teacher. Um, and, I graduated from Georgetown School of Nursing and Health Studies, as you can see, with a master's degree in clinical nurse leader. So, I bring many different vantage points to looking at COVID-19. And I'm an expert of Jewish history, I'm an expert of theology, I'm an expert of education, so I bring a lot of different expertise and angles into studying what's going on. So that's why I've been consistently right on many points. Like I said, there'll be thousands of deaths in the summer when Dr. Fauci, Dr. Hahn, Dr. Gottlieb, Dr. Redfield, Dr. Gupta from CNN, and Edmore Gore said there was going to be no death in the summer. So I think I'm going to be right for the flu season as well. I think all of them are underestimating deaths. There'll be far more deaths. And I think they will agree with me, really. We have a sit-down chat. They'll agree with me that there'll be far more deaths. And maybe they believe that, but they're playing it down because they don't want to like people to panic. Like, Dr. Gottlieb, Dr. Hahn, Dr. Redfield, Dr. Fauci, may all believe that we will have more than 3 million deaths. But they're just trying to put the numbers down, not to try to reduce the panic. But I don't see it that way. I don't think reducing the panic is the most important thing. I think psychologically preparing the nation for COVID-19 death is more important. And by giving the facts, people can be more careful about the future so that we can reduce the death because people will be far more careful. If you say, if you reduce the number or seriousness, people may not think that it's serious. Then they can die in larger numbers because they're not serious or careful. So for me, I think it's better to be honest upfront and talk about the potential damage, from the smallest possible to the maximum, so that people know what they're facing. Because when people know what they're facing, it's better for them to handle things instead of lying to them and saying, it's not a problem, nobody's going to die, it's going to go away. Because those are all lies, they're going to go away on its own. It's like liberal media, you know? I don't believe in the liberal media. Things don't just disappear on their own. I mean, God can make it disappear, but if God doesn't make it disappear, it's not going to disappear. It doesn't look like God's going to make this disappear. We have so many deaths in summer. So, yeah, I'm just marching for your life. I want you to live and survive COVID-19. You know, I created this show in order to help you and your family survive. So vote for me on November 3rd, 2020. Send me to U.S. Congress so it can help you and your family from there. Because you know, COVID-19 looks like it's here for a long time. Dr. Fauci predicts life in USA might not be back to normal until late 2021. He's kind of proposing 2021 as an option because he thinks like maybe, you know, you will have a vaccine and, you know, situation could get better because there may be a cure. I disagree with Dr. Fauci. I don't think there'll be a vaccine that works accurately, even even in late 2021. I don't think there will be a cure. COVID-19 is just too complicated. So I don't think we're going to have a cure or a vaccine for the next 5 to 10 years, you know, at least. Um, I mean, I wish there will be a vaccine. Obviously, I'm hoping there will be, but the probability is very, very low. It's just too complex. As I said, they haven't even identified all the strains of COVID-19. How are you going to protect people from the different strains of COVID when you don't even know how many are there? You haven't identified over 40 strains that exist. I mean, how are you going to protect them from them? You know, because they're all different. So the idea that they could develop a vaccine that works just seems like fairy tale because there are steps that you got to take. First, you got to identify the harmful strains. After you identify the harmful 40 strains, or maybe there's like 100 strains now, scientists were saying there are 40 strains like in March. So there could be 100 strains now. So identify the 40 plus strains, each and every single one, and then you give people a vaccine to make sure you block every single one out. But you know, they haven't identified all the strains. So how are you going to develop a vaccine? It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't make logical sense. It's kind of like you're throwing a baseball in the dark and you're hoping to hit like a can that you set up, somebody set up like, you know, 100 feet away. And how are you going to hit that in complete dark? You see what I'm saying? You need to know where it is, what it is. You know, scientists haven't identified all the strains. So how are you going to block them? It doesn't make logical sense. I mean, I'm hoping that they will find the vaccine that works, but I think there's just groping in the dark. You know, groping in the dark. They don't really know what they're doing. So that's a serious problem. I'm just putting a magnifying glass to the current situation because I think like we need to be honest about what's going on. You know, yeah, you know, yeah, I think, you know, what we need is truth and honesty because we have 1,000 people dying per day. And there's no point like pretending like people are not dying. There's no reason to pretend like this is harmless. Why should we pretend this is harmless when it's not harmless? It's killing 1,000 per day. Um, you know, Harry the Owl agrees with me that this thing is harmful, COVID-19. And so, yeah, we need to hunker down. And you know, Israelis are doing the right thing right now, going into the third peak. Um, you know, you know, Italy locked down, but they still had a lot of people die, right? But the numbers in Italy now seem like minuscule compared to what's happening in Brazil, India, America. Um, but you know, the important point to take away from Italy is even when you lock down, you're gonna have people dying. You're gonna have people getting COVID. Yeah, so this Flu season is going to be horrific. It's going to be so bad. Yeah, you're looking at a nightmare scenario in the winter, maybe even in the fall. I mean, it may become a nightmare scenario as soon as October. We don't know. Because flu season hasn't started, but we're headed there. Even though it's not a flu season, we have like hundreds to over 1,000 people dying per day. Can you imagine the flu season? It's going to be horrific. Um, I'm glad that you joined me for this show. I'm going to do more research and present you with more evidence-based practice data to help you and your family survive. As you know, I'm in Virginia Hospital Center. So if you do get COVID or if your children get COVID, I hope that you'll come to Virginia Hospital Center. Uh, me and my fellow nurses at Virginia Hospital Center will take good care of you. Um, yeah, yeah, come to Virginia Hospital Center. The lucky ones will be treated by me, obviously. But yeah, but there are other good nurses there. So yeah, you'll be in good hands. Virginia Hospital Center is like in Arlington. It's a really nice neighborhood and building's really nice. People are really nice. So I think you'll really like it. Yeah. So tune in tomorrow. Uh, and I will share more data with you about COVID-19 and everything that is surrounding COVID-19 that will help you and your family survive, and also help you and your family survive by thinking critically and rationally about COVID-19 and everything that is related to it, either directly or tangentially, because everything in life is linked, as you know. And I'm trying to save your life and your children's life. That's why I'm running for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 8th District, right? So, put me in U.S. Congress where I could do more for you and more for America. So America can be great again, like in the past. Yeah, and I'm going to make America safe again from COVID-19 and other things that are happening, all these crimes that are rising. Don't you want somebody to go in and fix this up? I will go in and fix it up. So yeah, vote for me and for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 8th District on November 3rd, 2020. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, if you're lucky, I'll win. My victory will be your victory because my going to US Congress will be beneficial to you and your children and your grandchildren. So you probably hope that I will win, right? And I agree with you, and I hope I win too. Yeah, so I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Tune in tomorrow for more exciting information and data and analysis. Information that you will not get from anywhere else in the world. You're looking at Leonardo da Vinci of 21st century, Heerak Christian Kim, who is bringing you data and analysis. Yeah, you're very blessed. You're very lucky that I've created this show. Yeah, so I look forward to seeing you tomorrow and tell other people about this show so that they can survive COVID-19 and understand COVID-19 and other things that surround it better as well. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye.